Have you ever found yourself bending over backward just to be liked, only to feel invisible in the eyes of someone you truly care about? Have you ever poured your heart into someone, hoping they'll notice, appreciate, or love you, and instead it feels like your efforts go unnoticed? What if I told you that constantly trying to be liked might be the very thing keeping you from true respect, from real power in your relationships? Think about it. How often have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? How often have you hid your opinions or swallowed your pride just to keep someone's approval? Now imagine flipping that script. Imagine transforming your presence so that people, especially the one you desire, stop seeing you as just nice or friendly and start seeing you as someone commanding respect. Someone magnetic, someone who can't be taken for granted. This is exactly what Machiavelli teaches in his Lessons on Power and Influence, but not in the cold, political sense you might think. I'm talking about real-life relationships, love, and intimacy. If you're ready to stop being liked and start being respected, this video could very well change the way you are perceived, the way you are loved, and the way you love yourself. Before we dive deep, hit that subscribe button for Shadow Psyche and like this video, because what you're about to learn is not just advice. It's a shift in perspective. And I promise if you stay until the end of this video, you'll start seeing your love life, your relationships, and even your friendships in a completely different light. So ask yourself, are you ready to step out of the shadow of approval seeking and step into the dark power of respect? Are you ready to change the rules of the game in love and life? If yes, then let's begin. 1. Stop pleasing, start commanding. Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself bending over backward for someone you love, only to feel like your efforts didn't matter? Maybe you've agreed to plans you didn't want, said yes when your heart screamed no, or swallowed your true feelings just to keep the peace. I want you to pause for a second and think about that. Can you remember a moment like that? A time when you tried so hard to be liked only to feel invisible? This is exactly what Machiavelli warned about, not in a romantic sense, but in the lessons of power and influence he wrote about centuries ago. He believed that those who are constantly seeking approval are weak. They are like shadows that follow others, desires instead of standing in their own light. In love, this is deadly. Being liked might get you temporary smiles, but it rarely earns you respect, admiration, or true connection. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a man named Marcus. Let's say he's living centuries ago, hoping to win the affection of a woman he loves deeply. At first, he tried to be everything she wanted, laughing at every joke, agreeing with every opinion, letting her dictate the pace of their meetings. She liked him, sure, but she didn't respect him. Over time, she began taking him for granted. He felt frustrated, unseen, and powerless. Machiavelli would say that Marcus had made the fatal mistake of confusing likability with influence. Then Marcus decided to change. He stopped bending over backward to please her. He began expressing his own opinions, setting clear boundaries, and following his own schedule rather than hers. At first, it was uncomfortable. She tested him, questioned him, even seemed distant. But slowly, something changed. She began to see him differently, not just as someone nice, but as someone strong, confident, and magnetic. The respect he earned became the foundation of a deeper connection, one that was balanced and powerful. So here's where you reflect. When was the last time you truly honored your feelings in love? When was the last time you said no, even if it risked conflict? Think about your own love story, about those moments you tried too hard to be liked. How might your relationships change if you stopped chasing approval and started commanding respect instead? Machiavelli teaches us that respect, unlike likability, is magnetic. People naturally gravitate toward those who hold their own ground. And in love, that power, your power, changes everything. 2. Respect yourself before expecting it. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like no matter how much you gave, your partner never truly valued you? Maybe you've stayed up late for them, listened to their worries, or supported their dreams, but somehow you felt invisible. Take a moment and think. Can you recall a time when you gave too much, only to feel overlooked or unappreciated? That feeling, it's painful, isn't it? Machiavelli, centuries ago, taught that power begins with yourself. Before you can earn the respect of others, you must respect yourself. In relationships, this is the hidden truth most people ignore. If you allow yourself to be treated as secondary, if you constantly compromise your own desires, opinions, or boundaries, then no one else will see your true worth. Respect is never demanded. It is observed and it grows when you honor yourself. Let me take you back to Marcus, our man from history. After learning the hard lesson of being liked but not respected, Marcus realized he had been giving too much without valuing himself. He had been saying yes when he wanted to say no, bending over, backward to meet her every whim, and ignoring his own needs to gain her approval. At first, this seemed harmless. He was a good man after all, but deep down, he felt powerless. Machiavelli would call this the fatal flaw of those who chase approval over respect, a lack of self-command. So Marcus made a choice. He began setting boundaries, speaking his truth, and prioritizing his own needs alongside hers. He didn't become cold or distant. He became deliberate and intentional. And here's where the magic happened. She began noticing the change. She realized he wasn't just a nice, pliable man. He was someone with self-respect, confidence, and an inner strength she hadn't appreciated before. The dynamic shifted. Respect was no longer something he begged for. It was something she naturally offered because she could see his value. Now I want you to reflect. When was the last time you truly stood up for yourself in love? When did you prioritize your feelings, your boundaries, and your needs? Can you recall moments where compromising too much left you feeling unseen or undervalued? Think of your own love story. What would it look like if you started respecting yourself fully before expecting anyone else to? Machiavelli's wisdom is clear. Respect begins from within. Once you hold yourself in high regard, others instinctively follow. And in love, that shift from being endlessly giving to being deliberately commanding changes everything. People are drawn to strength, not submission. They value those who value themselves. 3. Make them chase you, not the other way around. Have you ever noticed that the moment you start trying too hard to impress someone, they seem to lose interest? It's almost as if the more available you are, the less they value you. Think about your own experiences. Have you ever found yourself constantly texting, calling, or making yourself available for someone, only to feel your efforts weren't reciprocated? Can you remember a time when you felt like you were chasing love rather than receiving it naturally? That imbalance, it can drain the soul. Machiavelli's lessons on power aren't just for rulers, they apply directly to relationships. One of his key insights is that people value what they must work for. If you are always giving, always available, always agreeing, your presence becomes expected, ordinary, even taken for granted. But when you cultivate an air of self-respect, independence, and mystery, something fascinating happens. You become magnetic. People begin to pursue you. They invest energy to earn your time, attention, and affection, and that effort transforms into respect. Let's revisit Marcus, our historical example. After learning to respect himself, he realized he had another problem. He had been too eager to please. He arranged meetings whenever she wanted, agreed with every opinion, and poured his energy into winning her approval. She liked him, but she didn't desire him as much as he desired her. Machiavelli would say he had given away his power by making himself too accessible. So Marcus changed his approach. He began living his life fully, prioritizing his passions, friendships, and personal growth. When he interacted with her, he was present, confident, and intriguing, never desperate. Suddenly she noticed. The man who had always been at her disposal now had a life of his own, and that independence made her curious, drawn. And yes, she began chasing him in return. The respect he earned wasn't forced. It was natural, born from the strength and value he projected. Now reflect in your own love life. Are you constantly chasing someone's attention? Have you ever tried to force affection or approval, only to feel empty? Think about what would happen if you stopped being overly available and started living with purpose and self-respect. How might your relationships change if the people who matter had to work for your love, rather than the other way around? Machiavelli's wisdom is clear. Desire follows respect, and respect follows self-command. Make yourself valuable, make yourself rare, and watch how love begins to flow differently. The chase is not manipulation. It's the natural alignment of value and attention. 4. Speak less, show more. Have you ever been in a conversation where you felt like no matter how much you said, it didn't make the impact you hoped for? Or perhaps you've shared your feelings endlessly, only to feel like they went unnoticed? Think about your love life. Have you ever been the one to explain, your heart over and over, hoping the other person will finally get it, but deep down you felt invisible? That struggle, trying to be understood through constant words, is exactly where Machiavelli's lesson comes in. Machiavelli believed that power lies in restraint. In relationships, this means that your value is often revealed not by what you say, but by what you do, and by the quiet confidence you project. Those who over-explain, over-apologize, or constantly justify themselves tend to lose influence. Conversely, those who act with intention, show consistency, and maintain an air of mystery command respect. Actions, not words, shape perception. Let's return to Marcus. After learning to respect himself and allow others to pursue him, he realized that speaking endlessly about his intentions or feelings didn't create the respect he wanted, it diluted it. He had previously spent nights texting, explaining and persuading her of his affection, but she often seemed indifferent. Machiavelli would say he had been giving away his power through verbosity. Marcus decided to change. He began expressing himself through actions instead of words. When he cared, he demonstrated it through deliberate gestures, a thoughtful letter, a small surprise, a shared moment that reflected his attention and values. He listened more than he spoke, observing her reactions and understanding her desires without needing to vocalize every thought. Slowly, she began to notice the depth behind his quiet presence. Actions layered with subtlety became more persuasive than any words he could have spoken. Now reflect. In your own relationships, are you over-explaining your love? Are you trying too hard to justify your feelings or prove your worth? Think about the moments when someone truly understood you, not because you told them endlessly, but because they saw your consistent actions, your integrity, and your quiet confidence. What would happen if you shifted from talking to showing, if you allowed your presence and deeds to speak louder than words? Machiavelli's wisdom reminds us that restraint enhances power. In love, when you speak less and show more, you create intrigue, respect, and deep admiration. You become unforgettable not through noise but through meaningful action. And the love that flows toward you then comes from genuine desire, not obligation or fleeting attention. 5. Value scarcity, not availability. Have you ever loved someone so much that you were always available for them day or night, only to feel like your efforts didn't matter? Maybe you rearranged your life for them, dropped plans, or answered every message immediately. Yet the appreciation you craved never came. Take a moment and think about that. Can you remember a time when your love was abundant, but your value felt invisible? That's exactly where Machiavelli's lesson comes alive. Scarcity creates respect. Abundance can dilute it. Machiavelli often wrote about power as something that emerges from perception. People value what is not easily obtained. In love, this is crucial. If you are constantly at someone's disposal, your presence becomes ordinary. If you are rare, deliberate, and selective with your time and energy, people start to notice, admire, and chase after the connection you offer. Respect and desire are cultivated in the space between availability and mystery. Let's go back to Marcus, our historical example. After learning to respect himself and act intentionally, he noticed a new pattern in his relationship. When he was always present, she seemed indifferent. When he started living a full life, spending time on his passion, seeing friends, and occasionally being unavailable, her interest intensified. She began to notice the moments he shared more deeply, because they were limited and meaningful. Machiavelli would say Marcus had discovered the power of scarcity. His value increased not by being everywhere, but by being significant where he chose to be. Now reflect for a moment. In your own love life, have you ever given so much that your presence lost impact? Have you felt invisible despite your devotion? Imagine if instead of being constantly available, you became intentional with your attention. How might your relationships change if your time, affection, and energy were seen as valuable and rare? Marcus's story reminds us that scarcity is not about manipulation, it's about self-respect. It's about creating a life that is full, purposeful, and independent of someone else's validation. When you value yourself enough to be deliberate about your presence, others begin to value you more. They recognize the depth, the intention, and the power in your choices. And in love, that shift from being endlessly available to being intentionally significant creates desire, admiration, and profound respect. Machiavelli's timeless wisdom is clear. Your attention is powerful, and scarcity amplifies that power. In love, as in life, The less predictable and more meaningful your presence, the stronger the respect and attraction you command. Final thoughts. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored today. From learning to stop pleasing and start commanding, to respecting yourself before expecting it, making them chase you, speaking less and showing more, and valuing scarcity over constant availability. Every step is about one fundamental truth. Power and respect in love come from within. Think about your own relationships, your past loves, your current connections, or even the love you hope to attract. How many times have you compromised too much just to be liked? How many times have you poured out your energy, only to feel unseen? Machiavelli's wisdom reminds us that being liked is fleeting, but being respected is magnetic. When you honor yourself, set boundaries, and live intentionally, the people around you naturally recognize your value. And here's something to really consider. The shift isn't just about others noticing you, it's about how you see yourself. When you stop chasing approval and start commanding respect, you transform not only your relationships, but your confidence, your energy, and the very way you navigate life. Love becomes more meaningful, more powerful, and far more fulfilling. So I want you to pause and reflect right now. What's one thing you can do today to respect yourself more in love? One small action that shifts the balance from being liked to being truly admired. Think about it, feel it, and then commit to it. If this video has opened your eyes to the hidden power of respect and love, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Shadow Psyche so you never miss insights that transform your relationships and your life. Share your thoughts in the comments. What's your biggest love lesson? Or a moment where you realized respect mattered more than being liked? I want to hear your story, because your experiences make this journey real. Remember, this is only the beginning. Start commanding respect today, and watch how your love life and your confidence shift in ways you never imagined. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.